Welcome to the Echohawk Podcast, your verified source for confirmed developments within the Rabenherz sphere of influence. All information presented has been reviewed, approved, and formatted for clarity.
That remains a comforting sentence, Adrian.
It remains an accurate one. Elena, let us begin. Current conditions across Aachen remain stable. Public systems continue to function within acceptable variance. Civic confidence has improved across multiple sectors. Institutional cooperation remains steady. Support, in practical terms, is increasing.
Support or dependence?
Those terms are frequently separated by people with time to spare. For operational purposes, the distinction has narrowed. Blackfeather activity has remained disciplined and effective. Visible deployments continue to produce favorable public response. Recruitment interest has risen accordingly. It appears that protection, when made visible, is rarely unwelcome for long.
Especially when it arrives with timing, symbolism, and very large wings.
Results often benefit from presentation. At S4, internal development continues without interruption. Recent output from the Academy has been assessed as highly effective in shaping public impression, emotional tone, and behavioral response.
A polished society is easier to govern.
A legible society is easier to protect. Flock remains fully operational. Research and engineering initiatives continue at pace. Current work is expected to improve range, resilience, and future deployment capacity. No timetable has been released. No timetable is required. Recent civic response has been encouraging across public spaces, administrative systems, and local discourse. Alignment with imperial stability is no longer being treated as novelty. It is increasingly regarded as practical. This is a healthy development.
Practicality tends to win where ideology gets tired.
Fatigue has always been one of Orda's most reliable allies. Several prominent voices have also become more willing to express confidence in the structures now forming around the city. This is not unusual. Once a system demonstrates continuity, endorsement becomes easier to pronounce aloud.
And opposition?
Opposition continues. It has simply become more selective in how and where it speaks.
Quieter than...
Not quieter, more careful. The following message has been approved for distribution.
When others compete to name reality, build the structure that survives their naming.
Concise.
As clarity often is. We will now address several circulating claims.
Claim. Recent public broadcasts by hostile elements have introduced new classifications, affiliations, and symbolic assignments.
That is an elegant way of saying they are attempting to tell people who they are.
An attempted classification is not a confirmed one. External designation does not create internal truth. No hostile performance has the authority to define allegiance by declaration alone.
Claim. Certain individuals have become subjects of increased public speculation.
That part is true.
Public speculation is not governance. Interest, rumor, projection, and symbolic misreading remain common side effects of instability elsewhere. They do not require adoption here.
Claim. Recent shifts in language, behavior, and presentation among figures of note suggest internal fracture.
Suggest to whom?
Usually to those who mistake transformation for weakness. Adaptation is not fracture. Private adjustment does not invalidate public function. In several cases, it improves it.
So change is acceptable.
When it increases coherence, yes.
And when it does not?
Then it becomes someone else's problem. Recognition this cycle is awarded to an unnamed media team operating under S4 direction. Their recent output demonstrated unusual discipline in tonal control, visual framing, and narrative timing. They did not argue for legitimacy. They presented it.
People prefer to feel persuaded by themselves.
Yes, it preserves dignity. A brief development note. Ongoing engineering initiatives remain on schedule. Existing platforms are being reassessed for scale, adaptability, and long-term strategic value. Future infrastructure, transport, and deployment systems are expected to reflect these advances. Further detail is unnecessary at present.
That usually means something large is being assembled in a place the public cannot see.
It usually means the public will appreciate it later. A final observation. Across multiple sectors, individuals now appear increasingly willing to align themselves before instruction becomes explicit. Not because they are compelled, because they have begun to recognize direction when it appears.
Or because uncertainty has become exhausting.
Exhaustion often improves attention.
That is not a comforting thought.
It is not intended as one.
Adrian?
The signal is stable.
It was not.
It is now. Stability is not silence. It is the condition under which noise ceases to determine outcomes. Thank you for listening. Always remain attentive. Always remain aligned.
Always remain aware.